As I'm asked to close on this memorial today, I will tell you that I feel completely without the authority to do so. My interactions with the senator were of an intern appreciating his love for Abraham Lincoln, seeing him around the state, but I do not feel worthy to finish this debate. So much of what we have said has been said, and all of the people who have chimed in on his passing from around the world, and lives that he has touched, people that he has led, and stands that he has taken. It is not lost on me at all that this is a boy from Dallas, Oregon, raised in what now modern day we would say old-fashioned, who was ambitious, who faced tragedy at a young age, who fought for his country, who sought an education, who, as a freshman member of the House of Representatives, led the fight, breaking with his party to end discrimination, which is outside those Senate or the House representative walls that we passed. He had a philosophy of government that if it doesn't work in small-town Oregon, it doesn't work anywhere. I have tried to live by that example. He adopted Silverton, Oregon. If it didn't work in Silverton, Oregon, it probably didn't work in Oregon, and later it probably wasn't good enough for all of America. He ended his career on the announcement of his retirement in that same small town. He was a man that we celebrate today not because of any one issue. Think about that. We're not celebrating someone who's a politician. He was supportive of the timber industry, but he also worked to protect Oregon's most special places. He was an evangelical Protestant who got along well with people of other faiths. He was pro-life, but supported contraception. He was pro-life, but he was against the death penalty. He was a dove elected in a time in a Senate full of hawks. He was a man who believed in the principle of institution and of elected public life above short-term political speeches. Took me a little while, as I was in preparation and have been with Senator Johnson for a week, to actually get to that point. You see, as he led and became all of the things that he did in Washington, D.C., there was a time and there was a battle that came up. Many of you recall a balanced budget amendment. And he was very vocal for years and years before that vote ever came up that it didn't need to be in the Constitution, but yet the politics, the institution, if it had political discipline, could balance the budget. He supported having a balanced budget, but he thought that it should come from discipline in the Senate. When the vote actually came up, there was a young upstart politician who went around berating Senator Hatfield and making a name for himself. He's saying he wasn't conservative enough. He did not sacrifice enough. He was not a team player enough. He should be removed from his chairmanship. He offered to resign to Bob Dole, then the leader of the Senate, and Bob Dole, out of wisdom, said no. Interesting, as in preparation for that, that one senator is now running for President of the United States. A very similar thing happened when, in 1994, and the relationships that he had in the House. One of his colleagues was about to, after, I think, and my good friend Mark Landauer can correct me, I think the House member had been in office for 18 years, working his way up, about to become chairman of the same committee on the House side that Hatfield did, was passed over because that chairman worked too close with the other side. He wasn't partisan enough. And so Hatfield, and one of the greatest stories and the greatest testament of being a gentleman, walked over to the Senate, over to the House, something that senators don't do, as House members today can attest. And he presented that man with a cactus. You have to be a Hatfield staffer to know what the cactus means. He was firm but respectful. He was solid yet kind-hearted. He knew the loneliness of conviction. Preparation for this morning, I went and even just into my office. I have a particular affection for President Hoover, and Senator Hatfield and I had a exchanged letters quite a bit. He sent me a book on Hoover. But as I looked at what America has known that we've lost, Tom Brokaw entered his name and story in a book titled The Greatest Generation. There's another book here called The Lonely Walk. There's a book already referenced called Between a Rock and a Hard Place. There's another book on my desk called Against the Grain, Reflections of a Rebel Republican. We don't celebrate him for issues. We celebrate him for principles. And I think it is a very fitting tribute as we reflect on him is to ask ourselves the hard questions. And the hard questions are, is there anyone serving in public life today who could have a book written about them called The Lonely Walk? Is there anybody serving today that knows the absolute loneliness of conviction? It's not popular today to be bipartisan or for one member of a party to become friends with another member of the party and to go out to lunch with them, to become friends with them, to invest in their families. But yet Senator Hatfield did that. That is our legacy. Of all the things and tributes to him, there's a phrase that I always try to instill in my son that I will reflect on you just by not even being qualified to say such a thing, but I will believe that this is true, that Senator Hatfield was a world-class friend. I want my boy to be a world-class friend to somebody. I want him to know what friendship is, not acquaintance, not support, not verbal, yes, I'll be with you. No, I want to know what friendship means. You can't be as successful as Senator Hatfield is without knowing the bonds of friendship. As we finish today, we know that this is going to pass. We know that his legacy is surrounded in these staffers up here. And I see some up here. See one right here. They all knew something. Books have been written about a man, not because he was a dove among hawks, not because he balanced conservation, not because of his life stands, not even because of his Christianity. There's a deeper thing here that is really the legacy of Mark Hatfield, and that is, in public service, are we brave enough, like Hatfield was, to stand on principle? Are we convicted enough to stand on principle? Do we know why we do this job? Senator Hatfield was asked, was pressured, and oftentimes wondered in some of these books if he should walk away from public service, that America wasn't ready for a guy like him. But he didn't walk away. He kept going. We have to ask ourselves as Oregonians, do we still have that belief? Do we still want public servants of principle? Do we still want people that go against the grain, that walk a lonely walk, that can be between a rock and a hard place? Will we celebrate that? As I urge all of us to support, as I'm sure all of you will, SCR 202, I only have one question, which is a haunting question to me, which is a haunting question that passes all party lines, which is a haunting question that passes not only the House and the Senate and all the candidates are running for office and all the people are involved. There's only one question of the legacy that we have in this resolution. Would Oregon recognize a Mark Hatfield today?